Okay, today we have lots of drills to talk about. We're actually going to do some testing here. I actually went out and was able to find me a nice set of Milwaukees to test here. These are pretty much the top of the line you'll find in any hardware store. This is the Fuel 2797-22. The combo set will set you back about $399. It's not cheap at all. And we're just going to do some testing here and see how they do comparatively speaking to the less expensive drills. Now with these, obviously you're getting bigger battery packs. These are 4 amp hour batteries. The drill itself is heavier than the other ones, but the battery pack is lighter, which for considering it's a 4 amp hour, it's kind of surprising. But anyways, so it's a pretty stout machine here. The only thing I was kind of disappointed in is I think I was expecting better build quality. The build quality is not bad, but if you can see here, the casing actually, there's some chips in the casing right out of the box, and I didn't notice that with my other drills, and like the stickers are not stuck down very nicely. That's kind of a letdown, but anyways, the drill itself is high quality. Everything's built very nice. Yeah, it's a good drill. So let's go ahead and talk about the impact here. Now the impact, this one is going to be rated at 0 to 2900 RPM, and it's going to have 3600 impacts per minute. And they're larger impacts, so it's going to get, this thing has a lot more to oomph than the hammer drill is going to have. And we're going to do a tire rotation with this. We're actually going to compete not against the rigid, but against the Dewalt, and to see how they do. Also 4 amp hour battery. You get your battery indicator on the actual battery. And this one actually is a 3-stage, a 3-speed motor here, so you can set it to 1, 2, or 3. So 3 being the strongest, 1 being for driving screws you don't want to strip, and 2, anything that's medium. But it's controlling how fast the motor's turning. In the case of our testing, we're going to be going on 3 because we're going to be needing as much power as possible. So let's go on to the Dewalt. We've seen the Dewalt before. It's a lighter drill. This one's a 2 amp hour battery. It's less expensive. For this one, it's a DCK 286 D2, and you're looking at about $239. The prices come down quite a bit on these, and these are pretty much the lowest cost brushless motor drills that you can buy. And I've had these now for 6 months, and it's an excellent drill. I've had nothing really to complain about. Nothing of any substantial, nothing that I would consider huge. So the build quality on this is very nice. It's on par with the Milwaukee, and but it doesn't feel at the same time as high quality as the Milwaukee. And Milwaukee feels like really heavy duty. So all these came with bars you can put on here for stabilizing when drilling. I'm not going to use those today, so not a big deal. But on this drill, we're looking at on the low speed 0 to 600, so that's speed 1. Speed 2, 0 to 2000 RPM. So actually the top end of this has 150 more RPM than the Milwaukee, so it'll spool up higher. And you can hear it when it runs too. And this is one of my complaints, is the brake makes a lot of noise, but you can hear that. It just doesn't sound great, but Milwaukee doesn't do that. As far as impacts go, when it's on hammer, it's set to hammer drill. It's 34,000, so it actually has more impacts than the Milwaukee by about 3,000 impacts per minute. That doesn't really mean anything. This is our manufacturer rating, so I wouldn't read too much into that. The other thing I was kind of complaining about was the knurling on the chuck here will tear up your hands if you don't wear gloves. Milwaukee stayed nice and smooth with that. You can use it, but it won't rip your hands up if you're doing it bare hand. So let's talk about the impact now. So the impact, it's one we've seen before, 0 to 2800 RPM, 3200 impacts per minute. So this one is not as powerful as this one, obviously. This one's going to have the edge. That's pretty close. I mean, it's within a couple hundred impacts and a couple hundred RPM, just like the drills are. I don't think we won't be able to tell until we actually test them. This is a single speed. There is a 3-speed version of this. We don't have it. This is the kit that we have. So this is a higher end kit on the Milwaukee than it is on the Dewalt. So all things considered, that's what it is. I've talked about it before. Battery indicators are on the batteries. These are 2 amp hour batteries once again versus 4 amp hour batteries, but we're not testing for batteries today. we are testing for just whether or not they can be punished. So we're going to talk a little bit about the rigid. These are brushed motors. I just happen to have them, so it's worth just comparing them, but I'm not probably going to run these on test. It'll be mostly the Milwaukee and the Dewalt, because these just do not compare as far as power wise. This is the R8611501 KP, and on the drill you're looking at 0 to 450. It's kind of quite a bit lower on the low speed, high speed 0 to 1600. So it's considerably slower on the top end. And you can even feel it. It's not as powerful as either one of these drills. And price wise, this is actually last year's model. So this has a 3 amp hour battery. Also battery indicator on the actual battery itself. You can actually get this set for 199 bucks right now, and that's pretty good. And this is not the one with the radio. This is the higher end hammer drill, not the one that they're selling for 199. This just happens to be on clearance right now. Good drill for an average do-it-yourselfer, but if you're planning on doing anything as far as day-to-day, this is probably not the drill for you. Even with the lifetime warranty, it's probably not the drill for you. So this is the X4, obviously, both the drill and impact. So it was, like, once again, what do we say? It was 0 to 450 on low speed, 0 to 1600 on the high speed, and then 25,600 impacts. So it's quite a bit lower than the Dewalt and the Milwaukee. So on the impact driver, 2400 RPM is top end on this. That's 400 RPM less, and it's only 3100 impacts per minute. So it's just not going to be able to compare with these two. So I just want to show you a comparison with what you can get on the brush side. You're not going to get as much power, not as much runtime. Even with the bigger batteries, these motors they have more friction in them, so they're going to run the batteries down faster. So I just want to show you that. So next thing we're going to talk about is weights, because I always get to people. So we'll do that next. Okay, we're going to go ahead and weigh our drills. So we'll start with the Milwaukee drill. I'm not measuring the battery packs because there's a difference in capacity on those, but you can see just over 3 pounds, 3 1/4 pounds on that one. On the Dewalt, 2 3/4 pounds. So there's a ½ pound difference between these two drills. And then we have the rigid. And the rigid's going to be, looks like the heaviest, 3 1/2 pounds. Let's go on to the impacts. Impact Milwaukee, just over 2 pounds. Impact Dewalt, same weight, right at 2 pounds. And on the rigid, over 2 pounds. So you can see what the difference is as far as what you're going to get, what you're paying for. The Milwaukee, I think they should figure out a way to cut some weight off of that, because I think they, meaning that the Dewalt is pretty comparable, so they should be able to cut some of that heavy weight off of that. Okay, here we go, test one. These rims are factory torqued down to 80 foot-pounds, so we're going to go ahead and set this to 3. It has a 1/4 inch shank in there attached to a 1/2 inch adapter going to an impact socket. So let's see how she does. We're going to go ahead and remove this rim. Boom, done. That was really, really fast. Now, that actually tells me that maybe you don't even need an air compressor anymore. You can just buy a couple of these drills. You can just use those. So now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to video the back, but I'm going to go remove the back rim, go ahead and get that over here, and then go ahead and put this back together. And we'll see how she goes, but it looks so far so good. Okay, so we got the other one. Let's go ahead and put this back together. Note to self and everyone else out there, always start these lug nuts by hand. Never ever use an impact to start lug nut. Otherwise you take a high risk of cross-threading the lug, which will put you in a lot of trouble. So go ahead and start these. And when you're tightening it, you actually want to make sure that the wheel's sitting flat against the flange on the inside. There's a flange on the rotor there where it should sit flush. If you don't do that, the wheel will wobble. So you want to just make sure it's tight up against there. And we're go ahead and switch this to tighten. We're just going to go cross pattern and star pattern. kind of bound up there for a second, but well, that was a big deal. Alright. Okay, so all the wheels, two sides are back on. We're going to use a Dewalt on the other side, but you can see the battery is still at 4. You didn't even use really any power in it. It's a good drill. This actually makes me consider not having a air compressor anymore, because that's just amazing how fast I did that. You don't have to drag a pack wrench out, you don't have to oil it, you don't have to get your air hose in the way. That was just a lot easier. But anyways, let's go on the other side and use the Dewalt and see how that goes. Okay, so the same thing, same setup, and also I know I'm probably going to get some saying it, but safety glasses work a lot better when they're over your eyes than on your head. Sorry. Ear protection's optional, but in this case it's really not that loud. It's not actually, it's quieter than an air impact. So let's see how it does. Not too bad. I don't know if it was just the way I was doing it, but it didn't feel as smooth as the Dewalt did. It did a good job though, it came right off. It wasn't like anything bound up or anything like that. But we'll go ahead and do the back wheel, and I'll come back and tighten this up, and we'll talk about it after that. Okay, so the back one went on okay. Put this front one back on. Like I said, make sure it sits flat against the flange. You hand screw these on. I guess I had my hopes up that the Dewalt would be as powerful, or at least very close, but it definitely feels like the Milwaukee has the edge here. Anyone who's going to make a note that one has a bigger battery, it has no effect on this. It just means the battery has more capacity, not actual voltage. They're both running 18 volts. This is 20, but they're all 18. So let's go ahead and put this back together. Okay, let's make sure it's flat on the flange. Start pattern. We're not going to, like I said, you don't want to put too much on there because you don't want to over torque the lugs, because believe it or not, these will over torque them. So there it is. We're on. I'm going to go ahead and get the car lowered, and we're going to go ahead and check and see how close they are to either being tight enough or too tight. Hopefully not too tight. We'll see. Okay, for this last part here, I'm going to have my son Austin. Say hi, Austin.
Hi, Austin.
Yeah, nice. We're going to go ahead and tighten this up. This torque wrench is set to 80 foot-pounds. Come here, pal. We're going to get this on here, and we're going to pull it until it clicks. So pull down. Ready? Go. There we go. So we'll do this one. So it wasn't over-tightened, which we're happy about. You got that one. Star pattern, so we'll keep going across. 2 more. Go ahead and pull. Pull. That one's tight. This is our last one. And we'll just check one to make sure. We're done. So now we'll go to the other side and see how the Milwaukee side did. This is obviously the Dewalt side. It was not over tightened, which is good. So you don't have to worry about accidentally over tightening. But it only took like a quarter turn to tighten them. So say bye, Austin.
Bye, Austin.
Okay, so this is the Milwaukee side, and let's check them. That was pretty close, tight. Just barely tightened with the Milwaukee. Almost put it right there. It's like an 1/8 of a turn to get these. Yeah, it's like an 1/8 turn on all of these. On the DeWalt side, it was a quarter turn, so it just shows you the difference in power. Just gonna double check all of these real quick. I mean, that has it for me. And I don't think you really need a air compressor if this is what you use it for impact, if you have an impact that strong, because I don't think it's worth the hassle. That was pretty awesome. Did a great job, and I think the Milwaukee did a better job than the DeWalt. Obviously they're two different drills. I mean, you're talking one that's heavy duty versus one that's medium duty, but either one will do the job. So that's it for the test I did on those, and we'll move on to the drills next. Okay, so today we're going to do the second part of our test. This is going to be with 2 drills here. For this test we're going to be using a 1/2 inch blue granite Bosch masonry drill bit.
And what we're going to do is actually drill right into granite. This is a granite stone from Big Bear. It should be pretty difficult for it to go through, but it should have no problem going through it. And what we're going to test for here is how accurately, number one, the drill goes in, number two, how fast it does it. So here we go. We're going to need to wet the rock down obviously first. You want to wear eye protection and ear protection when you're doing this. It does get loud and there's a lot of dust, so if you can keep your working surface wet, that usually helps. Usually you use this for concrete, but that'd be cooler to do it in a rock. Okay, so wet the rock down one more time. And we'll go ahead and use the Dewalt first. We'll make sure it's set to high speed setting. That'll be setting number 2, and to the hammering motion. We're not going to press hard on these because when you start, you're supposed to start by pressing softly and then gradually increase your pressure. But like I said, I was just showing you with these gloves, this thing will rip your hand up because it has so much torque. You probably want to do it in number 1 to set it, and then number 2 to actually drill. So here we go. Okay, I can tell you right off the bat, the first problem it's having is it's already wandering, and that's because it's a higher speed drill. I could technically set it to number 1, but let's do it number 2 and see how this goes. Put some water on there. The hammering motion on this is not so great. I can feel it, but it doesn't feel very strong. It's kind of odd. Sorry, I trash trucked this one by. Gotten to this point, it feels like it's jarring up. There might be something in there that's hanging it up, but you can see how far it went before it started to have an issue. The bit obviously gets very hot when this is happening, so we'll call it quits on this one for now. Make sure to pull our bit off, and switch over to the Milwaukee. Same settings, hammer drill setting number 2. And proceed. This thing will drive all the way through, no problem. That was the second thing is it drove in accurately. As soon as it started, it literally went straight in. I'm not going to be biased here at all because I like my Dewalt, but this just literally dove right into that rock like nothing, and it went in about the same amount of time. Let's see, I would say about 4 inches. Let's see how far we went on the. It went about an inch farther in the same amount of time. And didn't feel like it was going to bind up. I could probably literally drill all the way through this rock. Let's see. Like I said, you don't want to put too much pressure on this because you don't want to overheat the bit. But yeah, that's sucking a lot of power. It's already taking it down to 3, but it feels fine. I could, yeah, like I said, I think. Anyways, you can see I get that bit all the way through. Now, could I do it at the Dewalt? I think I could, but I think there's an issue with wandering. So as it's drilling in, it's batting back and forth. The hammers that are going on the Milwaukee are firing straight down. It just seems like on the Dewalt, it's wandering more. So let's just go back to our Dewalt for a second here. It just feels like it's not going anymore. It feels like it's just digging the hole, actually going in. And this will drain your battery pretty fast. They're both draining pretty quick after going into it like that. Anyways, for hammering, I think it's a hands down Milwaukee win. Obviously, we talked about the price differences, so you are paying more for the Milwaukee, but you are getting a better product at the same time. I mean, you can even look at those holes. There's a lot of play in this one. That one's pretty tight. That one's tighter. Definitely. So, you definitely get what you pay for. So, with that, we'll move on to the next test.
Okay, so next thing we want to talk about is why this says 20 volts and why this says 18. We all know this is a ploy. It's a marketing gimmick. So, let's just show you. These are fully charged. So we'll first check, we have a rigid battery here, just to show. Alright, go put this on the negative and positive terminals, and you'll see we have 20.5 volts. We also have our Milwaukee. Built a special little gadget here for this one, because it's not as easy to access. Don't try this at home unless you want to short your battery out on accident. Same thing. Put that in there, negative, positive. Let's see, 20.3 volts. And then our 20 volt battery. And we'll, once again, negative, positive. Same thing. Yeah, apparently that's backwards. Anyways, 20 volts, you get the idea. So why? Why would they do that? Why does that make any sense? And it's all about wording. You'll see 20 volts max. What does that mean? It means that's the maximum amount of voltage that comes out of this. And all that means is that 18 volts is nominal, meaning that during the running power it'll average 18 volts. And when it's fully charged, 20 volts. So this is a 18 volt battery. So I just wanted to clear that up because people are always making comments about that, and that, yes, that's why. So anyways, we're going to get to a drilling test next, and that'll be our final test. So that's coming up right now. We're going to drill through medium density fiber board. This is a 3/4 inch board. So anyone who knows medium density fiber board, it's hard to drill because it's dense. And we're going to drill through it using a big bit. This is a Dewalt bit. It's a half inch titanium dip bit. Traditionally used for metal, but we're just going to force it through the wood just to kind of get a better idea how much power this has to push through. So we'll go ahead and use the Dewalt first. Once again, not wearing gloves. I should be wearing gloves. I hate my hands apparently. So here we go. Square up. Turn to drill. Nice and smooth. Normally when you drill a hole this size, you want to drill a pilot hole first to try to help it, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to see how well it drills holes. And it's doing really well. It's just going right through. If you need to drill holes, I think the Dewalt will do the job, that's for sure. So we'll take that off. Go ahead and put it on the Milwaukee. Let's see if it's any better, the same, or worse. Alright, set to 2. Change that to drill. Make sure it's turned up, and here we go. Okay, so I can tell you right off the bat, this doesn't make up for in top end speed. It makes up for in torque. Normally I would use a T-bar for this and just so I get square holes every time, but that's not what we're really looking for, so it's not a big deal. But this thing, once it grabs, it goes right through. The Dewalt, not bad. It goes through just fine, but it does not have the torque that the Milwaukee does. Because once that Milwaukee grabs, it dives right into the hole, and that makes it a superior machine. So is it worth the difference? Oh, and by the way, I had to edit the video when I first started shooting it, and apparently the price on this went up. Because I went back and checked it. It went from $239 to $279, so God knows why that happened. Also, I did notice while I was going through Home Depot that Dewalt shifted, and they're actually starting to build these in America, which 5 points for Dewalt for that. That's awesome. I wish Milwaukee would do the same thing, but you know, that's good. That's a good start. But you'll start noticing they don't use bags anymore. Anything that's in a black case, it'll have a stamp on it that says Made in America, which means 70% or more of the parts or manufacturing occurs in the United States, which, hey, at least it's something. So big points for that. But is the Milwaukee worth the extra money? Yes, it is. It really is. It is a superior machine to the Dewalt. Will the Dewalt be a great machine? Yes. It is a great drill. So it depends on how much you need. I mean, if you need something that is extremely precise, as maximum amount of torque you can possibly get, you're going to stick with a Milwaukee. But if you need something around the construction site and you're going to wear gloves a lot and something that's rugged and you want to save a little bit of money, you can't go wrong with a Dewalt. And you can get them with the bigger batteries too, I think. But then the price difference between the two kind of gets closer, because it depends on markets. Different markets have different prices. I see that on my comments all the time, that people go, well, I saw it for this much, or we have it for the... We're in California, so generally it seems like we have to pay more for whatever reason. But there's still the Dewalt's just still going to be cheaper than the Milwaukee. So if you had to make a decision, your decision has to be made on, number one, how much you're willing to invest in your tools. Number two, how much precision do you need in your tool. So if you need the maximum amount of torque, then you're going to have to pony up the extra dollars and get the Milwaukee. If you need something just to carry around the job site that's ready to go all the time, the Dewalt will be fine. So hopefully this helps you guys. You can take a look at these drill holes. Very, very precise holes. I mean, they pop through nicely every single time. Obviously, if you tape this off, it wouldn't have done that. But you can see it seemed like it popped through so much faster on the Milwaukee, because you can see where it grabbed through and it punched through really fast. I was putting some weight behind it, so if I would have gone easier, it could probably not have damaged them as much. But anyways, for the price, Milwaukee is worth it, I can tell you that. Will I be willing to pony up $400? That's harder to say. It depends on how much use you get out of these things, and that is key to the whole thing, is that you don't want to put that kind of money into something you use once every 6 months. In that case, the Dewalt would be more than enough. So, or even a rigid for that matter, because you know, if you're not using these all the time, you're not charging the batteries, that can become an issue. So with that, go ahead and make comments. Any questions you have, anything you want to see as far as testing, I can do in the future, and we can go from there. Have a nice day.